we have here is a Joy recip air compressor. Provides compressed air for our whole plant. When we have a problem with a valve, first tool we go to is a device that can look at temperature. I can actually look at the temperature of the discharge valve by shining this device on the valve and comparing temperatures from one discharge valve to the other. Usually when the valve's going bad, you'll get a hot valve. It could be within 20, 30 degrees difference. So a real quick indication of the condition of the valves is by looking at the temperature. These valves are okay, and they're within range. They're within a few degrees of each other. The simplest way to diagnose the problem on these compressors is with this tool right here. Otherwise, they've got to be taken apart individually, very time consuming, to check, see if they're holding. What we have here is electrical distribution bus. We have this throughout the whole plant. This is a tap box, a typical tap box. We look for hot spots on the tap box. By shining this indicator, this temperature indicator, on the tap box, we can locate hot spots. You can see the temperature differential. We're probably about 12 feet away from the tap box right now. And if we were to have a problem with this, you'd have high temperature on one of the connections, indicating a loose connection. We have to make sure they're addressed, because what happens, a loose connection will end up arcing and opening up and having, it'll actually drop this whole bus out. So it's important to identify hot spots. You go through the plant routinely, and fairly rapidly you can shine this temperature indicator on there and find out whether you have a hot spot. You can also check bus switches, not only tap boxes, but bus switches, for the same type of problem where the fingers will get loose on a bus switch and they'll start heating up and actually burn out. Like I say, we're probably about 12 feet away from this tap box, and we're not indicating any problem here, but it's a quick indication of the condition of the tap box.
Say that again.
If there was a problem here, the temperature would be well over 100 degrees, which means we'd have to open that up and address the problem. We'd have to shut that down, check the connection, see if the lugs got loose, or the wire may be even burnt back. But something you have to address fairly rapidly, otherwise you'll shut this whole section of the shop down. What we have here is the Cooper-Maddox filtration system for the Huffman grinders. Not only filters, but it's able to cool the oil that's used in our Huffman grinders. I'll get a call sometimes and they'll ask me what the temperature is, whether the temperature's out of range. And before I go downstairs and check, I'll actually check right here, bring my temperature sensor up, and I can check right here at the tank to tell me that I'm 96 degrees, I'm within range. I can tell you not only that the temperature is correct, I can also tell you which filtration system is working, or which one is actually operating, just by shining the device on the filter. It's important to keep the oil a certain temperature so we don't burn chasers, and make sure there's no other problems with the system. Very rapidly, I can check the temperature. It's 98.8. I don't have to look for a thermometer, and it tells our system's within range. What we have here is a Freon to oil heat exchangers. To check to see whether the heat exchanger is online or whether it's working, I can actually shine the indicator on the supply, and then on a return, it tells you whether the heat exchanger is working very rapidly. In this case, we can see the supply going in is 93 degrees, and the return going out is 83 degrees, so I know the heat exchanger is working. I also know the heat exchanger is not plugged because it's cooling. There's a secondary heat exchanger. I can check quickly to see whether it's online, and that one is not. So very rapidly I'm able to check not only temperature and condition of heat exchangers to see whether it's actually cooling or the heat exchanger is fouled or maybe needs cleaned.